Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the channel. Today is either going to be one of the biggest successes or the biggest disastrous failures since I've owned the property. Stay tuned to find out which one it's going to be. For 3 years, I have talked about cutting down this tree that's leaning over the backside of the cabin. As you can see, it is quite the lean to it, which makes it look relatively simple. The problem is there's 2 other different directional leans as you get towards the top. So not only does that make it difficult to judge where this tree is going to fall, and you probably can't see it because I think we're backlit from the sky, but right about here in the trunk, there is a pileated woodpecker hole. And if you know what a pileated woodpecker is, it's a woodpecker that's about 12 inches to 14 inches tall. They are huge birds. And I would guess that most of that tree is hollow inside, which makes it an extreme hazard to the cabin when it finally breaks off and falls to the ground. This is the tree's view looking at the property. And as you can see, the cabin is right here and the outhouse is right here. And the tree is leaning right here, right over the outhouse, perfectly to land in the outhouse. What I'm going to attempt to do today is to fight gravity and fight the natural lean, and I'm going to try to get the tree to fall to the left of the outhouse. It's going to be one of the most difficult cuts I've ever done, and it could be catastrophic not only for the outhouse, but also for the cabin. If my cut goes wrong, it could start to fall the complete opposite way of what I'm expecting. We've put it off too long. It has to be done. Let's get started. This could be bad. This is bad. This is real bad. Okay, so we started setting back. I've got my saw pinched, so we're gonna have to wedge this. That means it's falling the wrong way. So I gotta get this saw out, so I'm gonna have to try to get these wedges in more. Okay, here's the predicament we have. We have good and we have bad going on. The good is we've got a nice lean. We've corrected the lean a little bit, so it should go, not on the cabin at least. The outhouse is probably okay, but it's still in danger. So we're running out of wedges here, and as you can see, I got my bar stuck. So I started my bore cut, but as you can see, the tree wants to move, and the problem is there's so much weight leaning the opposite way of where I'm going that when I did my bore cut, it sat down on my bar, and now my bar is stuck. So I think what I'm going to have to do is take my small saw, and I can't get that out of there. Maybe I'll try a little bit more, but I think she's in there. So I'm going to have to take my small saw and keep coming on the bore cut. I'm right about here. So really all I've got is about 8 inches of hinge right now, and then inside the wood. So I may even have to come in from the outside, and then she should give. I mean, there's not that much hinge left, so as soon as I hit that trigger, she should explode on me. I'm thinking it'll just go all at once. So, and the problem is I really didn't want to go from this area. My escape routes are limited. I'm uphill, and if it does have a kickback, it's going to come here instead of there. So this is exactly where I did not want to be. All right, see here it still looks like it's leaning pretty hard this way. But then up here, it looks like it's leaning this way. So hopefully we'll miss the outhouse. All right, I'm gonna work on this and I'll catch back to you. Thank you! Thank you, God! Thank you, God! Oh my gosh, you guys, I am just, now the adrenaline dump's coming. Wait till you see this tree. I'm telling you, this was no joke from the beginning. I'm not trying to be dramatic with that entrance, but literally could not have fallen more perfectly. 100% perfect where we wanted it to go. Check this out. I was afraid of this. Look at that. That meant all of my hinges meant nothing, pretty much. Like, everything I thought I had, I did not have. Here's my hinge. I left about a 2.5, 3 inch hinge on this tree. And, well, actually, it looks like I bore cut through my hinge, so that was mistake number 10 on this one. But look at that. There was nothing to hold this tree. When we started cutting this, no wonder it moved back on us like we didn't want it to. There was no solid wood to hold, no holding wood in this thing. The next storm, this could have come down. You guys have no idea how relieved I am. Every night during a thunderstorm in the summer, River and I would get in a van and we would literally drive to the end of the driveway because I was so nervous about this tree falling on the cabin and killing us in our sleep. This is the worst tree that I will have to cut down as far as risk to the cabin and property and potentially even myself. So it worked. Thank God it worked perfectly. Whew. All right, I don't even want to think about the sauna building at this point. I just need a break. I think I'm going for a walk. Oh my gosh. And I'm sure I wrecked my bar and my chain, but it's cheaper than rebuilding the outhouse, and you can't replace my life. My big fear was that thing was going to explode out the back just because the weight was so weird on it. And then I almost ran out of wedges, and then my bar got stuck, and oh my gosh, like comedy of errors from the beginning to the end. But luckily, at the end of the day, I'm going to catch my breath and I will have a Diet Coke, and I will see you in a bit. Hey there, good morning. Welcome to a cloudy, gloomy, soon to be rainy day up in northern Minnesota. What? River hates thunderstorms, so he's freaking out a little bit. You maybe just heard the thunder in the background a little bit. So because today's supposed to be a rain day, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but what I do want to do right off the bat is I want to pick a couple of the vegetables from the garden planters, and I want to try to continue to saw on this big tree that I knocked down last week. And other than that, we're going to have to let the weather be our guide for how much work we get done today. It's looking like a good day to go to town, get showered up, and good thing to do on rainy days. If you're going to make the drive to town, maybe we'll do a little thrifting today and see if we can find any good deals. What? What? Huh? You goofer? You goofer. Oh, you big lug. Ooh, ooh, you big lug. You big lug. All right, enough playing around. Let's get to work. Looks like we got a few more cayennes that are getting really close to getting ready. A few of those I could probably pick. And the jalapenos are a little small. There's a few on here we can probably take. Oh, that one just popped off in my hand. Otherwise, I think we got a couple red ones. Those should be spicy. Those should be spicy. That one's not ready to come. Ooh, that's serrano, a red serrano. Ooh, that one's going to be trouble. I think I need to get my scissors. Look at this. We got some Carolina Reaper scorpions. I don't remember which ones these are, but probably pull that one. Ooh. That's regret on a stick right there. Oh, those are looking nice. Got some orange. Nice, nice. And these ahis are really doing well. I think we'll grab these before they get all wet from the rain. Unfortunately, we got a heavy rain the other day, and within days, these tomatoes, a lot of them just cracked. So we're gonna pick a few of these here. Wind is picking up. It's a nice little basket for the day. Got some peppers drying on the pepper rack, but I think what I'll do is probably string them up and bring them in the cabin. Probably string these up too. Almost got enough jalapenos to make some pickled jalapenos, but maybe I got some bacon in the fridge. Maybe a little cream cheese and bacon on the grill. Little poppers. Sounds like a good plan. Well, it looks like I'm not going to beat the rain. Shoot. So last night after the sun went down, which of course is like 7:30 nowadays, I ended up splitting a little bit of this poplar that I've been stacking over here yesterday, and I didn't get a lot done, but started on this pile a little bit and started stacking some of the little spare rounds, some of the little rounds, and then just adding to the wood piles. So we're getting a decent go on the wood piles. I definitely got to get this roof on, the rest of it for sure. So I've got these old dried popples from a couple years ago, and if they're not too rotten, I'm going to try to plank these out, and these will be the rest of the roof boards for that woodshed. The problem is they're so heavy, they're hard to move, and of course now I've got my pile darn near on top of them. So, and here she comes. Well, before I go to town, I've got to check that mouse trap. Any in the bucket? Nope. So I did not have any mice yesterday. Ooh, I almost got my finger there. The peanut butter has not been messed with. 2 days in a row, no mouse. I'm feeling good about this. These are all the rotten centers from the first tree I cut down last week. That's the bad thing about cutting trees down. It takes 10 minutes to cut a tree down and 3 days to process it. Oh my gosh, look at that thing in the sky. What in the heck is that? It almost reminds me of the sun. Sure would be nice to see that come out for a while. Now comes the fun part, cutting up this big tree into manageable pieces. Never fails. I get this pile cut up and I make a new one. On tonight's menu, we're having shake and bake pork chops, wild mushroom saute, and a little bit of pickled beets just for a little bit of sweetness to balance out the salty pork and the wildness of the mushroom. I was lucky enough today to find this very nice hen of the woods specimen, and this is different than chicken of the woods. Chicken of the woods is the sulfur colored orange yellow one that grows on a side of a tree. The hen of the woods is named because it grows from the base of oak trees generally, and as it sits there on the ground, it is reminiscent of a little brown hen with ruffled feathers. So this was a nice young, really clean specimen, so we're going to take some pieces of this and saute it up in butter, and it's going to be delicious. And his answer was, "It comes from the cow." And I said, "Okay, well, I'll take a jar. Let's try it out." So I opened it up, and it smells just like butter, but it's very rich and yellow. So I'm wondering if it's just because of the cow's diet, or if it's more like ghee, or what exactly we have going on. But I thought, it smells pretty good. It tastes pretty good. You can see I already dipped my finger in there. So I'm going to take a little splash of this and do it with my mushrooms. I did Google Amish butter oil, and there is a chance that it could be part butter and part like vegetable oil, which would be fine too. And if that's the case, this would make great popping corn oil. So anyway, we're going to try it with the mushrooms tonight, and if it's good, maybe we will try it on popcorn later in the week. I'll let you know how it turns out. Oh, what do you mean let you know? You'll be here with me. We'll find out at the same time. Well, that's what we got. Maitake, otherwise known as hen of the woods mushrooms, pickled beets, and shake and bake pork chops. Looks good. I'm interested to try this butter oil and see what this is all about. Doesn't taste like anything. I'm not really getting any butter or oil flavor, so I would give it a 5 out of 10. Do you ever have one of those days where you wake up and there's like a gazillion things on your to-do list? But you step outside and it's kind of one of them dreary gray days and you just don't feel super motivated. That's kind of how I'm at today. So I think instead of busting right into the chore list, I think we're going to do something fun. Last year when we had so much trouble identifying maple trees without the leaves, I said, next summer, I'm gonna mark all these maple trees so I can find them in the spring. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're just gonna do a little hike through the woods and mark a few of the trees. So we're doing a little spray painting today. Kind of seems sacrilegious to put some spray paint. So sometimes I talk about the ditch behind the cabin. This is what I'm talking about. Sometime probably in the 20s or 30s, they must have made this little ditch to drain a slough across the other end of the highway. So in the spring, so I always get water in it in the spring, but then by summer it's always dried up. I'm gonna have to find a system for this, otherwise I'm just gonna be wandering all over. It's surprising how many trees have lost all their leaves already. But it looks like the basswoods must be the first to go, with the maples not too far behind them. Where's that river dog? Where's that good boy? Oh my gosh, it's almost too nice to use for a shingle. This should be a floorboard. Oh, and it's already seasoned. This log is probably 4 or 5 years old. I cut this when I was cutting the driveway into this place. Probably 5 years old. Very nice. Well, it's no secret that I've been dragging my feet on this bunkhouse sauna project. And the biggest reason for it is I kind of have this analysis paralysis. And the big dilemma is, what do I use for the footings? Once I get the footings down, I have it all in my mind. Yeah, did you catch that, right? That sums it up. So my options, like I mentioned last video, homemade timber piers, treated 6x6s, or concrete sauna tubes. But then their fourth one is concrete pads, which I'm kind of going back to. I didn't want to do that. So up here, it's sand and rock and clay. The chances of me digging 9 5-foot deep holes where they're supposed to be is realistically probably less than 10%. My fear is I'm going to get 7 holes dug, and the 8th one I'm going to hit a big boulder the size of a car, 3 feet down, 2 feet down, and it's going to throw off my corner or an important place. If it's in the middle, I can just maybe move it over a foot, but especially a corner. So somebody brought up a really good idea to me, was to get a ground probe and try to probe the ground to see if I'm going to hit rock in the areas where my holes need to be dug. So I went to the typical stores and I asked, hey, do you have a ground probe? And the answer is no. But we have an idea. 1/4 inch piece of rod and a stick. Drill a hole in the stick. We should be able to push it down. We should be able to probe it. The only issue I can think of is pulling it out. It may come out of the log. So I think I'm going to make 2 of these. And one of them I'm going to drill halfway. So this reinforces the rod for downward pressure. And the second one I'm going to drill all the way through. And then I'm going to take a vice grips and pinch a vice grips onto the rod on top of this. And hopefully that will be tight enough. Anyway, let's see if this works. It's one of those things that if it works, it'll be like, hey, that's a great idea. Thanks, Rick. I appreciate that. If it doesn't work, well, I'm out $5 on a rod. So let's give it a shot. You know, this just might work. Well, let's start with the corners. Those are the most important ones, right? Okay, well, that is a problem. Must be hard pan. What am I hitting? Is that just the clay level? That's a root there. Oh, I don't know, 2.5 feet down. There's something hard down there, but it's on every one of them. So I think it's just the soil level maybe changes. And this rod is just too flimsy to put much pressure in it to see if I can punch through. You know, here's the other problem, of course. Where my one corner was going to be, this rock is pretty darn big, so I had to move the whole works over and back. And of course I'm trying to stay between trees because I don't want to cut down more trees than I have to, especially nice maples. Of course, look where one of my sides line up. Right on a stump. So I have to dig that out. Dang it. It's starting to rain again, which is maybe good. Maybe I need to... I have a feeling I'm going to be going back to the pad. That might be the way to go, though. I hate to say it. That might be the answer. Welcome to a rainy, dreary day in northern Minnesota. It's kind of drizzling out this morning a little bit, and the ground is super wet from it raining quite a bit yesterday. So I thought it was a good opportunity this morning at 8 o'clock to go for a little drive down a forest road and look for grouse that may be out pecking gravel or just trying to dry their feathers out a little bit from the wet woods. So here's a prime example of the treating wood with the charring method. And this obviously was a great big tree at some point, and you can see how big around it was, and yet there's no remnant of any of the leftover tree. But that tree, where it was burnt, is still preserved. So it's a good example of how using char as a preservative is effective. Oh God, man, I tweaked my back yesterday. Oh, I don't know what I did to it, but it sure hurts. Well, it looks like that's the end of the road. Chainsaws are at the house, so I guess we're turning around. All right, everybody, thanks for hanging out with the old river dog and I appreciate all your comments, and if you would, please hit the like button. It does help the channel, helps the algorithm. This is a good time to conclude this week's video, but don't worry, we'll be back next week, and you know the drill. We will see you soon. We will see you soon. I got a tip from one of the members of the channel family about this nice natural spring that's on my way to the cabin, and I thought, what a perfect opportunity to swing by and give a river a fresh drink of water. Pure, fresh spring water. River Dog says, thanks for the tip.